Today has been a bit of an interesting one. I have woken up again with panic attacks, and this is a very usual thing at this point, but today it hit me harder for some reason. But I wanted to film a video today, and I wanted to film something that is a bit more reflective, a bit more today's speed. I'm going to be a bit vulnerable without going into too much detail, but hopefully enough to give you an idea of why I am doing what I'm doing van life wise, why I'm even making this kind of content, these sit down videos talking about how to better yourself, how to be your highest aligned version. I think it's probably a good day to speak honestly and share my story. Today is a reflection of my life and my story. I'm going to be talking about my personal growth journey, how I became me, a little bit on how you can understand yourself a bit better. I've had a very challenging life in a lot of ways. I've had a very beautiful life, and I do have a very beautiful life, as you can tell, surrounded by crickets and beautiful flowers and trees. But this is something that I have had to build for myself, and this is something that I am continuing to build for myself. These are the lessons that I have learnt throughout my life, and I'm going to be sharing this as a kind of story time video of the things that happened to me throughout my life and what I've learned through them, and how I have gotten to a point now where I'm living in a camper van, I'm releasing music, and I'm living for myself finally, and without expectations of others, and I'm continuously learning about myself every single day and how to become the version of myself who I really love and who I show up for all the time. So I hope this video resonates, and let's get straight into it. I grew up on the beautiful Isle of Wight, which, if you're not aware, if you're not in England maybe, sorry, there's an aeroplane going over. The Isle of Wight is a really cute little island at the south of England. I was born in Bristol, but I didn't stay there very long. And I was on the Isle of Wight from the age of about 4 until I went to university when I was 18. And the Isle of Wight was so beautiful in some ways. Physically, it's a beautiful place. It's a really nice place to grow up because there's a lot of nature. There's a lot of very nice family fun things to do there. My life personally was very structured. It was very controlled, and I was a very busy child. I was busy and booked, you guys. There was a lot of pressure because when I was 6, it was realized that I could sing. Probably before then, but it was the age of 6 that I actually got up on stage. I got up in church. I was brought up heavily religious as well. I'm not anymore. I'm very spiritual. I was brought up going to church every Sunday school, all that. I was in a church choir, kind of. And I also went to church school, which meant that I was doing worship assemblies 5 days a week on top of that, so an hour a day. So I was indoctrinated, you guys. I have had to remove a lot of religious shame, especially someone who's LGBT. You know, as a musician, as a creative, I've had to go through a lot of unpacking. And also as a woman, I think that has probably been the biggest thing, the control that it has over women and children. It's a very patriarchal system. And this has been something that I have been working on for myself. And I realize now that actually I believe God is the divine feminine. I feel like the universe, nature, creation, it's feminine. And to be honest, it's not really an opinion, it's kind of fact. And that has been a massive awakening moment for me. Anyway, back to growing up on the Isle of Wight. I didn't put anything in about religion when I went down to make this video, but maybe we could talk about religion at another time, because that is a big topic. I have been through many different stages of what I believe, but ultimately I've always been very spiritual, and that's something that I have come back to as an adult, and I'm grateful for that because it feels right for me. I grew up in a very controlled environment. I was very busy, distracted, some might say. There was a lot of pressure for me to succeed as a musician. When it was discovered that I had confidence to sing on stage and I really enjoyed it, and that I loved writing music as well, there was this pressure put onto me by my family of, you must succeed, you're going to be the one that saves the family, you're going to look after all of us. It was a lot of pressure, to be honest. Like, even though I think it came from a place of love, it was a lot of pressure, and I have carried around that pressure my entire life. And it has come from a big place of anxiety, which I'll get onto in a minute. The cool thing about the Isle of Wight is that there's a lot of opportunity for creative people. For me, there were so many competitions. I was just always doing competitions, and I would win a lot of them. I've got a big collection of trophies and medals and certificates, which I'm really proud of, and I worked really, really hard for. But at the same time, I was also a very shy person and very insecure. Because of that, it made me a very easy target, especially at school. And so I dealt with bullying a lot. You could say that I was a big fish in a small pond. As you could probably realize, I didn't really know myself very well because I felt like I had to fit into a bubble. I did have to fit into a bubble. It really shaped my life from an early age, and it really shaped my internal monologue from an early age. What I realize now is that everything that I have built and everything that I have done has been to please others and has been to look outside of myself. Losing my finger when I was 6, that was something that made me very insecure and made me want to hide, even though I also didn't, because I loved being on stage. I do love being on stage still. It was a very interesting time. Now I've learned to embrace my finger, and limb differences is something that I feel like should be celebrated. So whenever I'm on stage, I'll always wear like my glammed up finger brace and show it off. That's something that took me a while to kind of figure out for myself. Also, I realize this is a bit doom and gloom, but we're getting to the good bit. When I was 18, I decided to leave home to go to university, and there was a big period of time, I reckon from the age of 18 up until probably my last year living in Japan, and I was 27, 28. So that was like a full decade, and I call that my identity fragmentation phase. I didn't really know who I was, obviously, because the picture that I had of myself was basically given to me. When I went to university, I started trying out different styles, different identities, different friendship groups, and just kind of dabbling. And I think in hindsight, that was a really positive thing to do because it's led to me being very sure of myself. But at the same time, I also, I look back now and I'm like, oh, sheesh. Some of the hairstyles I had, oh my God. And some of my beliefs, I did go through a very atheist phase. I thought I was gay for a bit. And turns out I was just bi, which is great. I felt like I was trying on different selves rather than just being myself, because I just didn't know who that was. So I was just trying on all of these different hats, trying to work out something that felt safe and right. I had no real internal compass yet. This was a time when I was experimenting as a person, experimenting as an individual, but also honing my craft as a musician. This was a time where I could really focus, and the music that I was making was much more from my own mind rather than being told you should do this, you have to do this in order to succeed, you have to succeed. And it, you know, I still had these voices in my head of like, I should do this to get a certain outcome. I should create music in order to be famous, in order to make loads of money, because that's what I was told growing up. That was the reason why I was doing music. I've always enjoyed it, but it's never been just joy for me. It's always been this anxious pressure. So there was a big turning point while I was in Japan. I went on a really big journey in Japan. I did an amazing, really fun project called Neon She, which I released 3 albums under, and I tried out many different things, but I was wearing this wig. I was behind a mask again, like hiding. My son is in the 12th house, so do with what you will. And also my son is in Gemini, so there became a point in my life where I was introduced to the term boundaries, And this was literally not that long ago. We're talking like 2 years ago. I didn't realize how much my lack of boundaries had affected my relationships. I was married for a while, and in the last year of that, I got taught what boundaries were. And it was a very pivotal thing because although the relationship itself was really amazing in so many ways, I realized that I had no idea what my standards were. I had no idea really what I wanted. I just was kind of going with the flow. I realized how much a lack of boundaries really affected my relationships, my loving relationships, my family and friends relationships. And when I got a divorce, that became a wake-up mirror, I suppose. This was a time when I realized that actually my needs mattered and my limits mattered, and I was being a people pleaser and shutting down my own needs because I wanted everyone else around me to feel comfortable. And I realize now that is no way to live. I think self-awareness is really important. And if you can have self-awareness of what's going on in your life and realizing the areas that don't feel right in your heart, that is invaluable. Being able to notice these things and adjust and redirect. Now, let's talk about the healing arc of all of this. After my divorce and realizing that boundaries are really important and showing up for myself and truly loving myself, I started peeling back all of these layers. I started to learn how to distinguish my personal thoughts from these internalized, anxiety-driven pressures. Started to build a new inner voice surrounded with self-trust rather than self-abandonment. I started to become more and more confident over time the more that I learned about myself, learned about my own boundaries, learned how to say no. I feel really at home in my body now because I feel like my mind is a place where I want to live. I've gotten to a point now where I'm loving myself in a more stable and grounded way. I understand now that boundaries are created for clarity. Boundaries are created so that you can teach others how they should show up for you. Your personality exists under all of the conditioning that you have been fed growing up. Your true self lives inside of you already, and you just have to peel it back. You have to peel back the layers and work out what are original thoughts, what are thoughts that have been handed to me. And the way that you work that out is you think about what thoughts feel anxious and what thoughts feel safe. When I create from joy, it's such an aligned feeling and it's just so fun. And the whole reason I sing, the whole reason I make music is because it is fun. But I still have had these voices over me of like, you have to succeed, you have to look after your family, you have to make loads of money, you have to be rich and famous. And it's almost like if I don't achieve those things, then I'm a failure. But that is not my original thought. That is something that has been fed to me since I was like 6 years old. So I have been learning how to tell the difference between what thoughts are mine, what thoughts are theirs. Healing is realizing what was never actually you and what was fed to you as a child. There's a big helicopter going over. Sorry if that's noisy. The amazing thing about individuality, about healing, about self-love, creating boundaries, is that you can create this for yourself at any time in your life. You can choose to change your life. You can change your direction at any point and you're not too late. Although I love making music, the way that I have been making music, the pressure that I have put myself under is really unhealthy. And that has been something that I realize was not my original thought. However, this is something that I have decided to hold for such a long time, and now it's my responsibility to change that for myself. And let me know in the comments if you have ever been in a similar situation, because this has been a very pivotal thing for me. I've reached a point recently where I've been thinking, what do I actually want? What is me? What belongs to me inside my soul? It's not about, not what my relationship should look like, not what stability is supposed to look like, not building a life around someone else, just what do I want for me. I went back through all my old vision boards because I've been vision boarding for years, and I make a new vision board every month just so I can continue keeping myself on track and remembering what I want. And the things that have always been consistent on my vision boards has been musical success, musical recognition on a fucking huge scale. Like, if you look at my vision boards, it's like massive stages, massive crowds, big studios, loads of fans. And I think it's okay to want those things, but I think it's important to know the intention behind it. Because for me, I want those things because I want to connect with people. I've got a little money spider on me. Can you see that? You're just gonna live on me now. And so I went back through my old vision boards, and there was this reoccurring thing of fame, success, recognition, money, music. And there was also this other side of things, which is travel and van life. And this has always been a very consistent thing for me. It's okay to have these dreams, and it's okay to dream big without needing anyone else to admire you for it. I've realized that I can actually build my own life outside of what others expect of me and without trying to control the outcome constantly. I guess the moral of this is that you're still a work in progress, and you'll probably always be a work in progress. And there's not really a finish line, and that's okay. I'm still figuring things out, but for the first time, I'm starting to live for myself without feeling the expectations of others around me, and thinking about what does Jasmine want out of all of this? What does Jasmine want out of life, rather than what is expected of Jasmine? How did we get here now? Campervan, English countryside, surrounded by nature, very different to my old life in Japan, living in cities. And I lived in Tokyo, worked in Osaka, gigged a lot in Osaka, Kyoto, Tokyo. I lived in Manchester for a bit as well, so this is quite the contrast. When I was in Japan just under a year ago, I was ready to leave. I was looking for my way out of the divorce. I was making plans what I wanted to do next. And so I went to my vision boards and I saw the consistent theme of van life. And I was like, I wasn't going to do this for a little while, but maybe now is the right time to do this, since this is something that has been consistently on my vision boards for probably over a decade. I was like, okay, why not? Maybe I can do this for myself. So I went onto Facebook Marketplace. I found my cute little 1986 Fiat Ducato, and I knew almost instantly that was the one. I had a feeling, and it just turned out that it was. I had some inheritance left over from my granddad, who passed away, and after he died, there was some money for me. And although that was the hardest grief I had ever gone through in my whole life, I'm so grateful for that safety net, that I was able to leave my marriage and buy my van, because honestly, without that safety net, I think I'd have been a bit fucked, which is why I always advocate, especially as a woman, to have your own finances and keep them private. Even though I was going through grief, grieving my granddad, grieving my old life, and not really knowing what was next for me, I was able to create security for myself because I was able to buy the camper van and come back to England and finally have something that actually belonged to me. Now I'm at a point where I'm still building out the van. There's still quite a lot to do. Over the last year, I've been renovating it, and I can finally see the finish line now of renovations. And I honestly don't think it's going to be ready for probably another 6 months maybe, but it's getting there, and I can see the finish line, which is way more than what it was some months ago. It's not finished, it's still in the process, but it's mine. And I think having something like that has given me such massive autonomy, because I don't really think I've had anything like that. For the first time, doing van life is something that is completely mine, like an original thought. This is not something that was given to me. It was definitely inspired. I've always been drawn to a more free life. It's been something that is innate in me, being close to nature, freedom of movement. And I can also tell that it's mine because it's something that I've created not out of pressure, but out of love. It's, you know, I don't feel the pressure to create it a certain way or to make my family feel a certain way. Like my camper van is like a Barbie dream house if it were cottagecore. Like no one in my family digs that vibe. That's totally on me. And I'm really proud of that. It's something that has been created not from pressure, but wanting to build something secure for myself, for my future. I don't have to wait for life to be given to me. I can take little steps to create a life that I want. I can actually start building something right now as I am. And this is just the beginning. And how beautiful is that? I hope that you enjoyed my story time. I hope that you understand where I'm at a little bit more, understand my journey and how I got here and where I'm at now. And if you're new here, be sure to subscribe because I am a new channel and I'm still trying to find my crowd. I love you so much and have a beautiful day.